Welcome to StorySpin. I'm Rory, and apparently this is what I do with my free time now. If you've ever wondered how messy people's relationships really get, you're in the right place. Let's dive in, because trust me, it's worse than you think. Hey, it's Rory, your friendly narrator of messes people swear they'll never make. Tonight we've got a decade-deep love story that starts with starry-eyed first and only vows and ends somewhere a lot murkier. One new job, a few bold new friends, and a couple of why not choices later. The foundation these two built in college is starting to crack like a thrift store CD. How far can curiosity stretch a marriage before it snaps? And when trust slips through your fingers, can you ever grab it back? Stick around and let's walk through the wreckage together, because the real plot twists haven't even shown up yet. Take it away, Nigel.
Hello everyone. I never thought I'd get to this point, reaching out to strangers on the internet for guidance. But here we are. My wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for 8. We met in college and we were each other's firsts and only. I honestly thought that made our relationship unique and beautiful, but apparently that was just my perspective. Some time ago, my wife started working at a new company. At first, she struggled to fit in. She's always been more reserved, but after some encouragement from me, she formed a friend group, mostly women, some single, some divorced, some in relationships but not married. At first, I was glad she'd made friends, but then came the drinks after work, the weekend parties, and all kinds of plans that pulled her further into their world. I started to get concerned by how much her behavior had changed. I tried to talk to her about it, but I didn't want to come across as controlling. At the same time, it started affecting our relationship, especially in the bedroom. She was never one to initiate intimacy, but after she started going out more, she was either too tired or just not in the mood. Eventually, her company brought in a new manager. She began to mention him casually at first, but then it got to a point where she was pointing out how he handled certain situations, ones that didn't even seem related to work. I asked her why she was so fixated on this man, and she brushed it off. Then she started asking me things like, "Do you ever regret not having more experience with other women?" I told her no, that she's all I've ever needed. For a moment, I could have sworn I saw something in her eyes, like sadness, but she quickly changed the subject. Not long after that, she brought up the idea of an open marriage, saying it could spice things up. I was stunned. My wife had never been the type to talk that way. She's always been more traditional, more private. At first, I refused. I asked if this had anything to do with her new manager. She denied it, of course, but then she said she felt like she had missed out and didn't want to lose me, so this seemed like a safer option. I warned her that she was playing with fire, but I still, reluctantly and naively, agreed. We set rules. The main one was that neither of us would bring anyone into our home, so we went through with it. For a year, my wife went on dates. She had casual encounters, and eventually, though I should have seen it coming, she started a full-on relationship with the manager I had been concerned about from the beginning. As for me, I went on a few dates, but I couldn't bring myself to do anything more. It just felt wrong. My wife would occasionally ask if I was okay, but she never changed her own behavior. Eventually, I felt like something inside me broke. That special, sacred connection I had to our marriage, it was gone. And it was killing me. Then I met someone. I went on a date with an incredible woman who had immigrated from South Korea. The conversation was effortless. She had a wit like lightning and a smile that could make you forget yourself. We went on more dates and eventually we became intimate. And I had never experienced anything like it. I had never known what it felt like to be with someone so attentive, so giving. She made me feel seen, desired, in a way I hadn't felt in years. first, my wife thought it was cute, but as the months went on, she started asking more questions about the woman I was seeing. I reminded her this was her idea, and I pointed out that she was still in a relationship with her manager. She didn't respond. She looked like she wanted to say something, but didn't. Then she started acting differently. She'd come home early to surprise me with dinner. She cleaned the house top to bottom. She started bringing lunch to my workplace. And, most surprising of all, she started initiating intimacy again. If it weren't for the fact that she was the one who opened our marriage, I probably would have been thrilled. But by now, something inside me had changed. When I gave in to her attempts at intimacy, it felt empty, like I was just going through the motions. Something in me had died, and I think she could feel it too. I asked her what had brought on this change. What was different now? She said she wanted to show me that she loved me, that she was happy with me. I didn't mean to, but I laughed. I asked about her friend group, about her manager, about all the nights she spent with other men. She didn't say a word. She just went to bed in tears. The next day, I came home and found her waiting for me. She told me she wanted to close the marriage, that the entire thing had been a terrible mistake, that she regretted everything and wanted us to be the focus again. I asked her to be honest. What inspired this in the first place? And wouldn't you know it, it was her group of friends. They'd talked about their dating lives, their freedom, and all the experiences my wife had supposedly missed out on. And when the manager entered the picture, he fully supported that lifestyle. He encouraged her to live free. It started as an emotional affair and then turned physical after the marriage opened, as if that makes it better. She told me it felt like driving drunk down a highway, thrilling and intoxicating at first, but now the crash had come. And she couldn't bear the cost anymore. She said she sees now that she never needed a comparison, that what we had really was special. But she's scared she's already destroyed it. I told her the truth. I might not be able to see her as my wife again. She broke down crying right there in front of me, and I just held her in silence. She cried herself to sleep in my arms, on the couch. Since then, she's quit her job. She's cut off contact with her friends and the manager. She told me she's willing to spend the rest of her life trying to make this right, trying to be seen as a wife again in my eyes. But I haven't ended things with my partner, because the truth is, she makes me feel like a man, like I can take on the world. And my wife hasn't made me feel that way in a long time. I don't know what to do. Part of me would love to feel that spark again with my wife. But another part of me knows that my partner saved me when I was at my absolute lowest. Please, if you've made it this far, help me figure out where to go from here. Oh, one last thing. We have our first marriage counseling session in a couple of hours. I don't know how it will go. First comment. Well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Honestly, people have great lives and somehow convince themselves they don't. And in the process of trying to fix what's not broken, they eventually break it. Second comment. Honestly, she should report the manager to HR. The power imbalance in this situation, a manager encouraging his subordinates to explore their sexuality, throws the entire thing into question. I wouldn't be surprised if the company has no idea he's running a mini harem in the office. Reply from OP. I honestly suspect you're right. I'm particularly bitter about the fact that he seems to walk away completely untouched, while my entire world is falling apart. First update from OP. Not sure how to link my first post with this one, but here goes. The therapist seemed kind and experienced. She appeared unbiased and genuinely eager to help. Even though it was our very first session, my wife took it as an opportunity to lay it all out, it seems. She confessed that this group of friends made her wonder if she had missed her chance at life because she had committed so early to her first boyfriend and never had other experiences. She said she never got to enjoy the same adventures that some of these supposedly amazing women had. Worth noting, some of them are divorced, but none are married. The therapist pointed out that this kind of mindset can often be harmful in a marriage, especially when there's such a strong contrast in values between the partners. My wife seemed to agree, then added that once the new manager started giving her attention, some of these friends encouraged her to see where it goes, that this was her chance to explore or discover herself. She says she felt guilty, so she didn't act on anything physical at first. But then, one of the divorced women suggested an open marriage as a loophole, saying that some couples actually come out stronger from it. So, after regretfully, again according to her, convincing me to open our marriage, her so-called adventure began. She described it as intoxicating and blinding, but ultimately empty. Not like the kind of connection we had built over the years. She started to question her own motivations. She said she could see the hurt in my eyes, but told herself it was just part of the experience. She said she'll never forgive herself for that. The gravity of what she'd done didn't truly hit until she started noticing changes in me. First, she assumed that because I was going on dates, I'd eventually accept what was happening and learn to live with it. But all of that changed when my lover became a consistent presence in my life. Apparently, I started to smile again for no reason. My eyes would light up when I got a message. I'd cheerfully leave the room to take calls. She said she started getting this pit in her stomach, mini panic attacks. She went back to her friends for advice, but they just told her that it was a normal reaction for me to have during the experience. But then that same divorced friend, the one who suggested the open marriage in the first place, said, "It looks like his lover makes him happy." That's when the reality finally hit her. The thought that another woman, not his wife, was the one bringing me joy. She said it nearly made her pass out. She realized how far she'd gone off course and begged her friends to help her win me back. They told her, "If you couldn't handle it, why did you open the marriage in the first place?" It was in that moment that she knew these people were toxic. A threat to our marriage, a threat to everything we had built. That's why she's now on a mission to win me back, by any means necessary. As for me, I didn't share much during the session, but I did let the counselor know that my lover is still in the picture. She responded honestly, "No resolution can be reached with my lover still in the picture." And she suggested that we book another session the day after tomorrow. The counselor also noted that it's uncommon for someone to stay with their first love this long, but gave the impression that any storm can be weathered. Between us, I get the sense she wants us to be one of her success stories. Sorry that this was so long, but I figured I might as well give a full update. First comment. Let me get this straight. Your wife was envious of a divorced person's lifestyle. What on earth is going on in the world where someone with a failed marriage is the one being admired? Let your toxic friends hype you up to play stupid games, but don't expect them to be around when it's time to collect stupid prizes. Second comment. My ex's core friend group is exactly where she is now, around 40, miserable, hooking up with married men just to have someone in their lives, and constantly complaining about how there are no good men left. Thing is, they were all envious of our relationship. They made comments about how they hoped to find a man like me, while at the same time encouraging her to cheat. Some even went so far as to help her meet up with other men. There are still good men out there, But if someone wants to keep one, they've got to stop listening to people who think short-term pleasure is worth long-term pain. It's not that complicated. Reply from OP. Why is this even a thing? If only she hadn't gone down that road. If only we'd just talked openly about it all. We might have been able to work through it. But I'm also at fault. I agreed to the open marriage to avoid the pain of being cheated on behind my back. As messed up as that sounds, it's the truth. Reply from commenter. I hear you, my friend. She put you in a brutal position, and being inexperienced with this kind of thing, you gave in to what she wanted. Honestly, I think even if you hadn't agreed to an open marriage, she still would have gone through with it. She had already checked out of the marriage. You just didn't realize it yet. Now that you're happy with someone who values you, now she wants to come back. Let me ask you, was she ever as giving and supportive in your marriage as your girlfriend is now? Did she put in that kind of effort before she saw how happy your girlfriend made you? From what you've shared, it still sounds like she's putting herself first, not you. You already know the answer. Be happy. Do what's right for you. Reply from OP. It's like my wife became a whole different person when all of this started. And then, once her adventure ended, she came back acting like a Stepford wife on steroids. Suddenly, traditional family values matter to her more than ever. She's even started showing up to my jogs and asking about my judo training, things she never once cared about before. Commenter. And let's be honest, this new version of her is just a performance. If your girlfriend disappeared from the picture, she'd drop the act. You've got something real with this other woman, someone who lifts you up, who makes you feel like you matter. Your wife knew she was hurting you. She just didn't care. That whole adventure was more important to her than the life you built together. She only started caring again when her comfort and stability were threatened. That's not love. That's self-preservation. Reply from OP. Well, like I said, my lover makes me feel like a man. When I've had a hard day, I'm not greeted by cold indifference. I'm met with a warm hug and someone who truly listens. When my insecurities flare up, she reminds me that I can overcome anything. More than anything else, this might sound old-fashioned, she gives me space to be the man in the relationship. She believes women are meant to do the things men can't, and that a gentle heart can calm a raging volcano. It's a Korean proverb, or something like that. She believes that the bedroom should be exciting, never demeaning. That respect for boundaries makes for better intimacy, not worse. She believes men have fewer emotional needs and that once those are met, we'll go to war for the woman we love. And yes, she believes in equal pay, mutual respect, and real partnership. But not the extreme ideas people seem to push these days. Maybe it's her culture, maybe it's just who she is. But for the first time in a long time, I feel understood. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who took the time to reach out, whether you shared advice, your own story, or just offered an ear for me to vent. It truly means a lot. Well, quite a bit has happened since. The former friend, the one who had the pregnancy scare, was indeed pregnant. But the stress of losing her boyfriend and being humiliated by the affair caused her to miscarry. After that, she went full scorched earth on the manager. She exposed everything to upper management and to his fiancée. Out of curiosity, I looked up his fiancée on Facebook. She's basically the poster child for a pretty, small-town girl. According to her profile, she's a special needs teacher, a homebody, and very family-oriented. My first thought was, what on earth is he doing messing around when he has someone like her at home? Honestly, Why men like him end up with women like her will forever be one of life's great mysteries. That former friend eventually contacted me. She said she was gathering evidence against the manager and wanted my side of the story, but she wanted to do it in person. She had already taken a COVID test, and so had I, so I agreed. From the moment I saw her, I could tell she was broken. The dark circles under her eyes, the red tint around her irises, she looked haunted. She thanked me for meeting her and immediately apologized for her role in my wife's adventure. Turns out she and my wife had spoken again, and that's when she found out I'd moved out. She didn't try to blame shift. She said she just wanted to take accountability, which is why she insisted on meeting in person. I asked her, honestly, why she was going so far with this. She told me that losing both a child and the love of her life changed her to the core. She said she can't even look at herself in the mirror without disgust, and that she hardly sleeps because when she closes her eyes, all she sees is the look on her ex's face the day he found out. It was clear that this meeting was as much a form of punishment for her as it was closure for me. She told me that since office relationships are a breach of conduct, especially because the manager held a position of influence, he will most likely be fired and possibly blacklisted from the industry. But the same might be true for her, and she's accepted that. She thanked me again, apologized, and left. I had to grab a few things from the old place, so I picked a time I thought my wife wouldn't be home. Unfortunately, she was. What surprised me was that she had most of our wedding photos laid out on the coffee table, along with others, and she was just staring at them. When she saw me, it was obvious she had been crying. She tried to hug me, but I gently pushed her aside. She offered me lunch. I said I wasn't hungry and that I wouldn't be long. I just needed to get a few things. Before I could leave, she told me she had something to show me. She pulled out her phone and showed me a message she'd received 2 days ago from her former manager. He was furious, berating her. It came from a new number. She had blocked the old one. Apparently, after everything came out, she helped her former friend expose him to all the relevant parties. She said she got the idea from some online support forums, Chump Lady and Marriage Builders. Her thought was that by exposing the truth, she'd take away its power, that she could give us a fighting chance. I told her I was glad she had the courage to do that, but that it didn't change anything between us. Also let her know that I'd be ending marriage counseling and would be continuing individual therapy instead. She broke down in tears but said she understood. I know I'm supposed to feel something. Relief that she's taking responsibility, or anger that it took this long. But honestly, I feel numb toward her. And I know that's not normal. That's part of why I want to explore things in solo counseling, not as a couple. At my brother's recommendation, I've also spoken to a divorce lawyer just to be safe. Right now, I'm not willing to fight for this marriage. And I think she senses that. Before I left, she tried to initiate intimacy. When I refused, she snapped. She shouted, "What does your lover give you that I can't? What is it she does that I don't?" Then, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, she said, "Whatever it is you want, I'll do it." I just shook my head. I told her, "If you still don't know after everything we've been through, then that alone says everything about where our marriage is headed." And I walked out. This is where I'm at. For now, at least. Once again, thank you all for your help. First comment? Wow, a marriage destroyed, a separate relationship ended, and a miscarriage, all because a few women wanted some excitement in their supposedly boring lives. Well, things aren't boring anymore, are they? They sound very exciting now. Oh, it was fun for a little while. But now that fun has turned into nightmarish memories, of what was and what could have been. Memories now lost forever because they wanted to have a little fun. The manager is a real piece of work, but apparently he's also a very skilled manipulator because he picked his targets well and got them to cross some serious moral lines. How darkly ironic that one of the co-workers who encouraged your wife to betray her vows ended up doing the exact same thing, and with equally painful result. I'm so sorry you're going through this, OP, but also good for you for getting out of the toxic mess this turned into. I truly wish you peace. Going forward, keep your head up. I look forward to the day you share a post that's all about healing. And moving on. Second comment. I hope you'll accept this in the spirit it's intended, from just an anonymous internet stranger who's followed your journey. I believe one of the challenges you face is idolizing the women you fall in love with. It's not uncommon. I've done it myself, though maybe to a lesser extent. You opened your marriage in an attempt to save the idealized image of your wife, a woman who clearly wasn't the person you thought she was. I'm not here to criticize your girlfriend. You haven't mentioned a single flaw about her, which honestly sounds almost too perfect. But from the outside, it seems like she may have simply replaced your wife in that idealized role. Flawless, healing, unique. I'm also curious about something. If the open marriage caused you so much unhappiness, why did you allow it to continue for as long as it did? Why didn't you ask your wife to return to monogamy sooner, or leave, or push harder if she refused? Given how long this went on, any advice or regrets? How long do you think someone should tolerate a situation like that? What would you do if your girlfriend ever brought up an open arrangement, even though you've said she claims she never would? I assume your wife said the same at one point too. From what you've written, it sounds like your wife began losing her core values when she started spending time with that new friend group. Between the frequent outings, the encouragement to explore, and the emotional attachment to her manager, that spiral lasted at least 2 years, maybe even 3. That tells me this wasn't just a phase. This was something deep and broken inside her, that she could be out frolicking while you were visibly hurting and emotionally disconnected. You also mentioned that your wife said she wanted to close the marriage because she saw how happy your girlfriend made you, but now you've also said it was because her manager, lover, rejected her and threw her under the bus. Do you know which one mattered more to her? Was it seeing you happy with someone else? Or was it the pain of realizing her lover never actually saw her as anything more than a short-term thrill?
So, that's where we leave it. A marriage cracked open like a CD case in a glove box summer, scratched, warped, and maybe past the point of ever playing right again. He stayed loyal through her self-discovery. She chased freedom and found emptiness. And now, she's begging for the past back, while he's finally tasting something that feels like a future. Maybe they'll find their way. Maybe they'll burn it all down and start over, separately. But if this story's taught us anything, it's that once you open the door to what if, you better be damn sure you can live with what comes through it. Thanks for sticking around. I'm Rory, your narrator of love stories gone sideways. Catch you next time for another mess someone swore they'd never make.